and advantages. You know, we like to have a list, it has the pro part. That's why we should do that. Then you have the other.
Yeah, pro and con.
Pro and con. That's Benjamin Franklin. That's no telling who it was. Probably Chief Mooga Booga back in prehistory, but they ain't gonna say that. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Well, I want to start by saying that this period, the last week of September and going into October, I guess tomorrow, is this period is what we've been talking about for the last decade. These days, right now, what they said about that hearing, and I believe it's true because I watched it. And they were saying about the ratings, white folks were saying this was a JFK assassination type event where everybody knew where they was and what they was doing when they heard about it. So no, this thing right here is something on their calendar for the rest of their life. Most of them will remember it. Most of them watched it either the first go around. The first go around, it was multi-millions, I don't know. But then people reviewed it the second time and they have seen it. But just to talk in general, this is a period we was talking about some time back about manifestation of defects. Manifestation of defects is a period in history where you remember, anybody see the Vietnam programs on TV early this year?
Ken Burns.
Ken Burns. It was good. But in 1968, one of them is called Things Fall Apart. The center cannot hold. That was probably 1968 around the Tet Offensive. This is what they were saying. Things fall apart and the center cannot hold. That's the way this is right now. Things are falling apart. And everything that is negative for them, they created it. We didn't win over Libya, immigration. We didn't win over that. The simple things, not simple, but the bombings in Iran. They do it at the wrong time to the wrong people for all the wrong reasons. And what it produces, they have a bombing and publicize it, almost laughing at it, and showing a misrepresentation. They showed some of the band guys, you know, in the military band, ducking and what have you. And with a military uniform on, they were trying to show these guys as cowards.
Right.
That's not true. They're band players, and then they say the heavily armed military, like, only thing about the heavily armed military, they are heavily armed. They got rifles, everybody got one. They just don't have no bullets in them, that's the only thing. So military, it's a parade. They don't lock and load when you go to the military. You don't have live ammunition. All them big tanks coming back, there's no live ammunition in those tanks. They're military parade. All those missiles, you can't push no button and shoot them missiles. They probably prototypes or what have you. But they showed that, the thing that we wanted to say before was we know that it's not us, but the center of the world is Iran right now. It's not now, it's been, because it's the center of the Middle East. And that's the focal point. This foolishness started with Saudi Arabia and all of those a long time ago. During the Shah's time, when the Shah was part of OPEC and part of the U.S. strategy in that region, Iran and Saudi Arabia got along fine. It's after they had a revolution that the wealth and the money and the new organizations, they've already had the Iranians for a Democratic Society, multi-million-dollar funded. Now they're up to the billions of dollars, and I think they done put 3 or 4 new groups online, and all of them is running, and that's their job to specifically do certain things to hinder, to destroy the Islamic Republic. And remember, their nuclear scientists were bombed and killed, and they used bombs that came from the U.S. They used marine bombs. Marine bombs blow in, you know, like when you put it up on a boat, it blows in. A regular bomb blows up and out. So they would ride up on a motorbike. You know who was doing it? Munafiqs, by their pattern, the same pattern they had during the revolution. Pop that bomb up to the next to the, attach it to the car, speed on the way, and it blows in. And they talk about Russia hacking people, the Israelis, right? And the Americans hacked Iran's whole grid several years ago. The United States and the West, when Ahmadinejad in 2009, they unleashed everything they had against Iran. That was under Obama's administration. But they haven't learned yet to see when Allah got his hand over you, you don't have to be like perfect or anything. Allah got you covered for that period, you covered. So the people that used to be trying to have little hanky-panky start type things in Iran, Allah neutralized them to where, I mean, everything is falling in line. The manifestation of defects. It would be totally unbelievable 10, 20, 15 years ago that you would be looking at a world where the President of the United States goes to the UN and is almost laughed. The people, you know, vaudeville, they used to have a big long hook. You know, I remember those long, well, you might have seen them before. I mean, vaudeville was before our time. But you was messing up, they just pull you off the stage. Can you imagine the hilarity and the American people that knows some things, how painful it was for them to sit through that, to look at their president. And this boy is rolling on like damn the torpedoes full speed ahead. You know, like, yeah, y'all laughing, y'all think I don't know nothing? Well, let me proceed. Can you imagine? I listen to some of the other leaders and presidents. They always talk about us and our country and our region. Don, in front of the UN, is representing himself. I, me, you ain't seen nothing yet till I get this together and I get that. The man is, you know, you couldn't, if after the rebellion, and now we're talking more revolution over evolution. I'll get to that in a minute. What I mean by that, I'll get back to what I was saying, is that we've been teaching about it, preaching about it, and getting ready for it. But it's to hit now, and we're not organizationally structured to take advantage of it, to influence the direction of change. Right now is a good time. It's not our fault. We didn't do anything, or it's not that. But still, when the war is on, when all the advantages and disadvantages of the battlefield become apparent, it's time to take full advantage. So we're going to have to stick a little revolution in evolution. It'll still be evolution, but remember, evolution is a long, slow, gradual change that evolves. And revolution is sometimes sudden, when it seems sudden, and cataclysmic. Change the fixes. Well, we have to stick a little revolution in our evolution, and we have to rise to the occasion now, and we have to make certain calls. It just so happens that we've written about them and talked about them all the time. It just came at a time when we don't have the organizational structure yet to deal with some of the gifts. Back to the time that we live in. This is a time which we call a strategic period in history. This is a strategic period. The strategic dynamics are the manifestation of the whole post-colonial environment. This is what's happening right now. Africa is finally the basket case of colonialism and post-colonialism. Neo-colonialism was Africa. But Africa is finally getting its footing a little bit at a certain time in history. The Europeans, which are more familiar with Africa and Asia because they were their colonies, and the transitions that's going on, the present situation is so dynamic and so Allah organized and so historically important. The European Union. The British people had a Brexit vote, but after a while they didn't want to do it. So, they stall it, so they're going to get some type of referendum so they can stay in the Union. Suddenly, you might look and think, who would cause the British to want to leave anyway? The Americans. Why? Because the European Union is stronger than the United States of America. When you put all their economies together, it's Europe, all of Europe. And they got the appendages like Sweden, places in Scandinavia, in Finland, all them other places. They got their own friendly bases. The euro is a very stable currency. Now, the Europeans would not openly challenge or make a break with old Sam. But old Sam and his psychological depravity that is Donald Trump, would. He did. The dummy come out against NATO. The dummy came out against all the treaties. The U.S. formed all of those treaties. The reason the United States of America paid most of the UN money, number one, it's in New York. Number two, it was created, Franklin Roosevelt's idea. And number three is, if 120 countries voted, I remember in 81, against the Israeli invasion of Lebanon, 82, the U.S. either abstains or votes against it. That means they control the whole UN. So they were paying, like the Negroes say, I pay the cost to be the boss. You know, so all of that so-called money he put in is because people, I'm getting what I want. And now the dummy comes in that don't know how it works. He used to transactional analysis. I give you $500 million. You give me back A, B, C, D, E, F, G within 30 days, 60 days, or 6 months. It's all specified. And if it don't go like I want, even if it do, I'm going to sue you in court. When it comes time for me to pay the last big payment, and I done got all the stuff, I'm taking you to court. It ain't no president in the world that had 51. He had 51 cases in the court with money he didn't pay people. Who would want him as president? Okay. So the European Union is a threat to U.S. power. Now, our friend, Ms. Mogherini, was over here